This is Vinita.
Hi.
Say hi. This is Anne. Say hi. Now, come up here, my dear. You first. And let's get it on.
So, hi. I'm from the wonderful wolf pack over in the corner. Thank you. Can you hear me? So I had been diagnosed with a condition called Raynaud's syndrome. And just to quickly enlighten you as to what that is, it's a condition where your central nervous system has a very bad reaction to the cold. And I've had it for most of my life, and it's become so bad. I actually born in England, grew up in Australia, and I live in Germany, where it's wonderfully cold in winter, so a bit crazy. And it was so bad in the past year that even at 16 degrees or below, regardless of what you're wearing, you can have 20 layers on, your central nervous system starts to withdraw the blood from all your extremities, so from your fingers, from your toes, and it goes white, really, really white, and it hurts. It just starts to ache.
Burns.
So it burns, yeah. It literally burns. You can feel the blood going in. And I've stood in front of a scanner just for fun at a museum with my family, and my husband is German, very warm-blooded. Looks like there's fire on the screen. And then when I stood in front, it was just blue. Just blue. There was no sign of warmth anywhere in it. Some days it's been so bad, even just the last 3 weeks before I came here, I spent a lot of time in bed with a hot water bottle, and I had to drop the kids to school, and just the 2-minute walk from the car to the school, I was in so much pain. I came home, I couldn't move, and I was in bed for about 24 hours. I just couldn't move. And it started just really 6 months a year in Germany in the winter. I started to lose my life, and I had a very active life previously, weightlifting, sport, everything, and it was just destroyed. And so Tuesday, and actually first Monday, there's a woman over there, my friend Yvonne, who I met at Becoming Supernatural in London. It was my first event this year. And we'd agreed to meet here. I nearly didn't come because I had such a morbid fear of the walking meditation. And I had planned... And I should add, I did my online and my progressive workshops. I read all the books.
I'm waking up in my dream here.
Read all the books, I reread the books. I was still reading until 1 a.m. on Monday, and I had a 7 a.m. flight. I'd already read them, but I was reading again, and I really studied, and I did the work. I was doing the meditations, and I worked really hard. And then I met with Yvonne, and just the walk, we're staying next door, I don't know which direction it is at the Granville, and the walk from there to the Hilton, we'd maybe been out 30 seconds to a minute. She said, oh, your hands, they'd turned white very quickly, blood was coming out, it was going blue, and she was kind of shocked. She's like, are you all right? And I just explained what happens, and she knew that had been a fear. And we did our blessing of the energy centres on Tuesday. And then when we went out, we were looking for dinner. I didn't put on my gloves. And we were walking. I hadn't even realised I hadn't put them on. We'd walk 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Should we have Indian? We couldn't find Indian. Still looking, 20 minutes. And then she said, oh, you haven't put your gloves on. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is weird. And we looked at them. They weren't any funny colour. I thought, we were standing in the street outside this Middle Eastern restaurant looking at my hands. And she held my hand. Her hands to me felt like ice. And she said, oh my God, you're so warm. And there was heat coming off my hands.
Now, let's review a few things. Actually, Raynaud's is a reaction from the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system shuts down when harsh environmental conditions like cold challenge the body, and all of a sudden you get massive vasoconstriction in the extremities. The body's kind of almost simulating like a hypothermia. It's trying to conserve all its energy. Short-term effects, people who spend a lot of time in pain, but the long-term effects start weakening the immune system, so they wind up with all these other health-related issues because the immune system dials up first, a cold reaction, then it dials down. And when it dials down, then the immune system is suppressed. But the program is in the autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system's gotten some wrong instructions, and it's reacting to the same environmental conditions in the same way to preserve the body because of the perception that's happening subconsciously. Are you with me? Come on. So then when you bless the energy centers of your body, these energy centers are centers of information. They're under the control of what system? Autonomic nervous system. She knows that. She read the book. Anyway, when you bless these energy centers, you're creating coherence in each one of these individual brains. And when you begin to reprogram them back into balance and order by changing your brain waves, and I wouldn't teach it unless people know how to change their brain waves because it wouldn't work. They would be outside the operating system. And then be able to master convergent focus and divergent focus, particle wave, matter, energy. And all you have to do is tune into a new frequency. And they're going to draw from a new level of energy and consciousness. A more coherent electromagnetic signature is going to send a more coherent signal to the cells and tissues in our body. Now, the autonomic nervous system doesn't say like, oh, let's get busy doing this or that because she's programming me. The autonomic nervous system, when it moves back into balance, its job is to keep the body in balance, in order. But if the perception of the environment subconsciously switches on the program that constricts the arteries in her extremities, then we have to reprogram that. Would you agree? And that's exactly what she did when she did the blessing of the energy center. She just reprogrammed the autonomic nervous system, and it said, okay, I don't have to react to preserve the body to keep it alive in survival. Its attempt for survival. It said, now I can relax and move back into balance and open up the arterioles and the arteries and capillaries that are going to the hands and feet because the perception of the environment, we got a reboot here. We got a reboot to the system. And so she's so busy being her future self, so happy with life, she's not even thinking about putting her gloves on because she's not in the same program any longer. How many people understand? Oh, it gets better. Listen to this.
So yesterday I did the meditation walk.
Wait. You went out there and it was cold? And you didn't...
I think it was 0 or 2 degrees.
It's perfect. I don't remember. It was just perfect
I'm usually
day.
paralyzed in bed, unable to move at that temperature. So I was out there and it was amazing. I didn't freeze. In fact, I had 2 gloves on. I took off the second one and I was still struggling because I was so hot. But I finished the walk and I came back to my room and I messaged my husband. I said, you won't believe, because I was still skeptical when I went on the walk yesterday. In fact, when I emailed Petra on Monday night, I was standing in my bathroom. I've got it. Standing in my bathroom crying and poking my hands. And I kept looking at them and I was literally 30 minutes before bed. I'm like standing there and I kept touching them and it was as though I had two new hands. I didn't recognize the feeling of warmth. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm crying and I emailed her saying, you're not going to believe this, but... And then, so I did it yesterday and I thought, okay.
Wait. Back up. What did your husband say when you told?
Oh, you want me to tell them?
Yeah, I do.
It's still on my phone, so I can show you. So he texted back saying, be careful, are you sure they didn't spike your tea?
That's my buddy over there. That's my buddy.
It's my German husband. He's very supportive, but also...
He's a guy. What do you expect?
And I replied that I'd had water from Sainsbury's and one from the Hilton and that both bottles were sealed.
It's the water.
And so, yeah, I was amazed. And it was still... I went out today, had all the layers on. And in the first part of Walking Meditation 4, where it gets really elevated, I had my first gamma experience. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And I was about to ask I thought, I'm going to have to ask. My heart literally exploded.
She had a heart orgasm. Just relax into that.
And there was just heat just coming everywhere, and I just wanted to take off all my clothes. And so much, like fire, and my brain, I'll just try and describe it. So my head was just going back and forth. I had no awareness of where I was. There was just light, so much light coming in, and it was a different kind of warmth, not the fire of the pain of when I was losing blood from my hands. It was just so much light coming in through my head and just vibrating like crazy, and my head was going back and forth. My heart literally, I briefly thought, I want to monitor this. I'm a scientist, so that was my first thought. And it didn't stop. And I thought I could have pulled myself out because I started to panic. And just at that moment, I hear in the audio here this wonderful man saying, "Stay with it. Surrender to it. Stay with it." And at that moment, I went to another level. It was just complete explosion here. Mind blown, heat everywhere. And then I kept walking, and then I took off the gloves. I took off the other gloves. I took off the scarf. I'm loosening my coat. I'm like, oh my God, Reynaud's what? Gone. And here I am, and I'm actually sweating.
Now, let's think about this. Come on, let's think. Come on, I'm still reaching some of you. Remember, we got to take everybody this week. Now stay with me. She does the blessing of the energy centers with sincerity, with focus, with curiosity, with presence, and she reprograms her autonomic nervous system, and then she walks out in her new self out of the program, and her body, her autonomic nervous system, is just engorging her limbs with fresh blood, wiping out, taking all the wastes out of there, oxygen, nutrients coming in, waste leaving, and all of a sudden she's getting restoration in her hands, and the system switches on. Yes or no? She no longer has a subconscious reaction to the environment. She's reprogrammed that. How many people understand? So now, is she feeling suffering, guilt, shame, and unworthiness, or is she feeling a little bit of joy for life, gratitude? Where's her energy already? So she says, okay, I'm going to do the walking meditation. Let's see what happens. I'm curious what's going to happen next. She's looking forward to what could possibly happen instead of dreading it. She's experimenting. She's a scientist. She's engaged. She does the walking meditation yesterday and has more of a profound experience. Then she participates all day yesterday, follows the formula, keeps going, keeps following the instructions, and she's getting more and more excited. She walks out to do the walking meditation, number 4 today. I ask her to rest her attention in her heart and start opening her heart. She's already got energy, yes or no? Once energy makes it here, where's it going to go? So then I see when people open their heart, it's like petals on a flower. They kind of open up. They just start opening up their heart. But what she had was she had an instant bloom. Boom. Just opens up. And of course, she's feeling incredible love. And if she's feeling love, she's making oxytocin. Yes or no? Oxytocin signals nitric oxide. Nitric oxide signals another chemical causing the arteries in your heart and lungs to literally open up. The muscular lining actually expands, and now you get an engorgement of energy into the heart. And when it opens and switches on all the way, you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to have an orgasm in my heart. And for people to have that, you almost know that you're going to have to lose control because it's that big. It's way bigger than you. Yes?
Yes.
Very big. So then you got to kind of, whoa, you're putting the brake on, and your body's going, whoa, brake or gas, let us know, whoa. And she's kind of working with it. It's new, and she's trying to figure it out. But once that energy makes it here, and she becomes aroused, and she's going to go into gamma, sympathetic nervous system has to switch on. Yes. And the sympathetic nervous system just switches on, and now that heart starts to go. the body is being aroused, but being aroused by love instead of fear. You with me? This is a whole different arousal. And energy is literally coming up from the lower centers, going right up to the brain. Thalamic gate opening up, signal right to the pituitary from the pineal gland. Boom, all of a sudden, the pituitary gland releases oxytocin and vasopressin. Her heart opens up even more. Here comes the first field. When that energy's moving to her brain, but now she's feeling that oxytocin. Here comes the second field, right from the top of her head. Where'd you feel it come in? Right through the top of her head. And now she's drawing energy from the cosmos, from the field, down into her nervous system. And now this is when it gets really good, because she can feel the electricity. Those microtubules are going, whoa, whoa, this isn't just three-dimensional reality. All of a sudden, the coherence that's created, that she's drawing into her body, is causing the microtubules to begin to shimmer and vibrate in more harmony, a resonance of order, a harmonics within harmonics that we could only describe as love. And she's being baptized by the divine in that moment. Of course it's going to be bigger than her. Of course she's going to want to rip her clothes off, because she's connected. Do you understand? She's feeling whole in that moment. Yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
Did you enjoy that story? Miracle? Now, she's the example of truth, yes? In curiosity and simplicity, I'm just going to try it out, just see if this could actually work for me. And she has this she's naturally a happy person. She's already a happy person, so she's not going to be too tough on herself. She's not going to be too over-focused. She's just going to try it out to see if it works. And that kind of curiosity is the perfect place for a miracle to take place. You're witnessing a miracle, yes? Now, in the same group is Anne, who also happened to have the diagnosis of Raynaud's syndrome. Now, is this odd, or is this God? Anyway, thank you, hon.
Hello, my name is Anne.
They love you.
I don't know how I can follow that, but I was diagnosed with Raynaud's a number of years ago, and so, as was explained earlier, it's daily pins and needles, constant pins and needles. Sometimes when the blood goes out to the extremities, you can't grasp anything, like pick up a pen, or when you start to walk, your feet kind of flop like this. But as Dr. Joe also said earlier, that can in turn affect your immune system. So bit by bit, over the last, we say, 5 years, I don't say this as a shopping list of illnesses. I only say it because to make a point later on. So bit by bit, it was ulcerative colitis, chronic kidney disease, chronic pain syndrome, liver problems, weakness, nausea, chronic fatigue, and Raynaud's, etc., etc. So that's the point where I was when I came here on Sunday. And I came here on Sunday with the thing that no matter how low I felt, it had been a traumatic year. My sister died suddenly, and I felt a bit kind of guilty trying to make myself better, happier person when she wasn't on this earth. So how did I have the right to do that, or to be worthy to be that way? I also was very nervous about the walking meditation because it was pretty cold and I knew we would be out there for a long time, and I was complaining to my husband, why didn't we go to Sardinia and we never go anywhere warm, and etc., etc. So I bought those, you know, the hand warmers, you click them and so I thought I'd be all, you know, I'd be sorted. I couldn't find them anyway when I got here, but
they all bought them.
I don't need them now anyway. But so I. So I got ready to go out on the walk. And when I came here, it was with the intention that I don't care how low I am, I don't care how pain I feel, I don't care how deep depression is, I don't care how unworthy I feel. This is it. This is it. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to listen to what Dr. Joe says. When all the mind speaks starts and it tries to drag me back, I'm just going to say, okay, and I'm just going to go back in. Even if I'm doubting, I'll just go back in, go back in, go back in, and give love. And when I walked out the morning of the first meditation, I was nervous because of the cold. But then suddenly, something happened, because a number of years ago, through my life I've had recurring dreams, different dreams and recurring dreams. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I started to have this recurring dream. And the dream would start that I was standing on a beach and the sun was coming up. And when I looked around, the whole beach was just full of people standing looking out to sea. And they were walking down from paths like zombies, sorry. That's me too. But walking down the path onto the beach, and they were all searching, looking out at sea, looking out at sea. And I used to say to my husband, I wonder what the dream means. It was like nearly apocalyptic, that it was the end of the world, or that something, they were waiting for something to come.
Yeah, that waiting was you. We were waiting for you.
So the first meditation, walking meditation, I went outside and it was dark and it was cold. And all of a sudden it was like, I don't care if it's cold. It's kind of like I wanted it, because it was like it made me feel as if I was alive. Or that I was on, something was happening. And when I went down on that beach, and as I was walking down, I could see all these people just standing, looking out into the sea. And I thought, I'm in it. I'm in the dream. I am in the dream. So if this is not a sign for you that you just are on the right path, because I think the universe sends you that sign in many different ways, big and small. And so I just stood there, and it was like, I just went into it, and I did my best, and I stood up tall, and I walked like a soldier down that beach, because I was going into that future, and that was it. So,
Made up her mind. Another one, made up her mind.
So, because I had so many conditions, one day it's like, it was like, my kidneys would bother me. Another day it might be my liver, whatever. I had so many. I wasn't focusing on any one thing. To me, that was my life. It was every day. That's what it was. It had become my normal. So I went out, I did the meditation, I came back, I took off my gloves, and my hands were healthy looking. And I thought, okay, but me being me, I thought, well, we'll see, okay? And then I heard this story during our group session, and I thought, yeah, I have Raynaud's too. And that kind of happened to me too. But because it was me, it wasn't, why should I say it, or I shouldn't say it, or whatever, which has also taught me another lesson about something. So I had planned that for the next meditation, what would I do better, and that I was going to leave my ill health in my past. And Petra said something which might seem very small to somebody else, but for me it was profound. She said, when you go into it, say, I now leave the need to be ill in my past. Because for me, that really was a light bulb moment because, yeah, I could leave my ill health in the past, but whatever created it was still there in me. So I reluctantly was dragged up and said, you know, what had happened with the Reynauds, because I just felt I shouldn't be heard, or I shouldn't, not realising that it was actually helping somebody else just to hear that. So I went out in the meditation this morning, and halfway through I just took off my gloves, and I spent the rest of the meditation with no gloves on me, and my hands are still fine. But the thing is, I didn't come to get rid of the Reynauds specifically. So I think it was while my mind was somewhere else, this happened. You know, I didn't come and say, oh, my Reynauds will be, gone. It was the whole health thing. So I suppose it shows me if this can happen for that, it can happen for that. Because I believe the universe, it's as easy for the universe when you become source to create an elephant as it is to create a safety pin. You know, there's no, so that's my story.
Now, couple things here. Some teaching points. Isn't she beautiful? See, your voice does matter, my dear. When people face shocks, like real big shocks, people a lot of times go into a type of physiological shock. And when they're in shock, their blood flow diminishes sometimes to the brain or increases a lot to the brain, depending on the person, but also diminishes to the extremities. So shock that's stored in the body will switch that kind of condition on in the autonomic nervous system. And then when the person gets into their environment in anticipation of something shocking happening again, they keep producing the same program and the same emotion. And that's what begins to keep the autonomic nervous system in the same program, in the same pattern. Are you with me still? Come on. So the loss of a loved one like that, that's shocking, of course, then the side effect is you feel bad, so then you think by feeling bad you shouldn't be happy. And I've had enough crazy experiences with people that don't have bodies anymore, that those of you that are grieving for a loved one, I want you to imagine, I want you to think about you being the person that left and you watching somebody that you love walking around, moping around for years. What would you tell that person? If you love me, get happy. Get on with your life. Show me that you're happy that way. I could go on and you can go on. So the greatest thing you can do for your sister is to be in love with life. She would be so proud of that. So that gives you permission then to step outside. Now, the constant state of the subconscious reaction that's happening over and over again dials down the immune system. She's taken up a lot of the energy that she needs for growth and repair. So all the conditions that she mentioned, by the way, are all immune-mediated conditions. One after the next, after the next, after the next. So, whether she is aware of it or not, her body now is back in growth and repair and outside the system of fight or flight. She's outside that program, right? So then there's a reorganization in blood flow. Blood moves to the extremities again. Blood moves into the internal organs. Blood engorges certain systems. The immune system upregulates. She starts to feel more order in her body. And of course, in time, or better yet, by the end of this event, is it possible then, if she stays at it for the next few days, that she can experience more significant changes as a result of reprogramming that system? Yes or no? Turn the person next to you and explain. Thank you, honey.